I was in an online relationship with a sweet younger guy. He was truly a fresh-faced innocent boy, and everything he said was as sweet as roasted sugar cane. Every single day, he would call me sis in a voice that never ceased to be sugary. Every day, he transferred me 520 and 1314, the digital love codes for I love you and forever. In the mornings, he sent photos of himself cooking soup. I sent back photos of my braised silver carp. He was so obedient it made me melt. I was falling for him more and more. Without him, I could not even crochet for my customers, both literally and figuratively. We had set a date to meet in real life. Before the meeting day, my best friend invited me to her house. I met her famous rebellious cousin. The kid had stark white hair, a sparkling lip piercing, an arrogant expression, and dressed so coolly that I had to take a few steps back. I accidentally twisted my ankle and fell onto his bag of sugar cane, even knocking his phone to the ground. He frowned, looking displeased. "Ma'am, please have some self-respect. I already have a girlfriend." As I apologized and bent down to help him pick up the phone, a familiar chat log appeared. Was that sweet online boyfriend actually him? My face went dark, and it felt like the sky was collapsing. My phone vibrated again, and I did not even need to look to know who it was. "Sis, did you miss me today?" I opened it to find a voice message, his voice sticky and sweet, deliberately dragging out the final syllable until it practically dripped. Immediately after came 2 transfers of 520 and 1314. My mouth curved into a smile that reached my ears as I replied. "Love you baby, but you should keep the money, do not keep sending it to me. Money is for you to spend. Really, just wait until we meet, I want to take you to buy bags and beautiful clothes too." He was truly too skilled, too sweet. Even Vivian Ling, my best friend, said I had encountered rare luck. Where could one find a boy with such a love brain? He was both obedient and sweet, spending money without blinking an eye. All day long it was sis this and sis that, as if he wanted to scream to the whole world how much he liked me. It was true, talking to him made me feel 5 years younger. Every day felt like being soaked in honey, and every time the phone vibrated, my heart was full of pink bubbles. He was so well behaved, I really liked him. Even though it was just through a screen, I could imagine his appearance. Surely he was a guy in a white shirt with an innocent smile. We had agreed to meet in real life next Monday. I had practiced in my head countless times what to wear and how to do my makeup. It had been a long time since I felt such a mix of anticipation and nervousness. "Ah sis, we are meeting soon. I am so nervous. I miss you so much, I want to hug you until you crumble." "Boo-hoo. Sis, in real life I might be a little different from online. Please do not be scared, I am still me. Besides, whatever type you like, I can change for you. If you like a muscular guy, I will accommodate that too." He was clearly even more nervous than I was, which actually made me feel less anxious. Just before the meeting, Vivian called me to her house for dinner, saying her parents missed me and it would help me relax before the big day. She lowered her voice and whispered. "I almost forgot to mention, my cousin, the Demon King, is on summer break from his first year of university and is staying at our house." I asked while choosing clothes. "What about him?" she replied. "His family is powerful, and his parents spoil him like a treasure, so he is lawless. White hair, wearing a lip piercing, acting cool like a king every day. His aesthetic is truly something ordinary people cannot understand." I smiled to reassure her. "All right, I am mentally prepared. It is just a meal, surely nothing will happen." That is true, and besides, recently for some reason he is no longer passionate about his beloved motorcycle. Every day he just hugs his phone and smiles foolishly as if he is possessed. Arriving at Vivian's house, her parents welcomed me warmly. The food was delicious and refined, and the atmosphere was cheerful. Halfway through the meal, there was a noise at the door. I reflexively turned my head to look. A tall figure walked in, long legs taking strong strides. Striking short silvery, white hair, sparkling lip piercing. A red and black motorcycle suit hugging a thin but straight body. His expression was cold, his jawline tight. He was cool and arrogant. Exactly the type to make little girls scream in infatuation. But for elderly people like me and Vivian, the first reflex was to unconsciously take a step back. Vivian kicked me lightly under the table, pursing her lips to signal. "See that?" I nodded in agreement. Too cool, to the point where it made me want to have a relapse of rheumatism. Unexpectedly, this boy looked rebellious but knew manners. His eyes swept over us and he nodded slightly as a greeting, his voice even, neither cold nor warm. "Uncle, aunt, cousin." When he sat down to eat, his posture was unexpectedly very standard, completely mismatching his appearance. Auntie Wu was always smiling, constantly picking up food for him. "Little Dylan, eat more. Are you tired from racing today?" He gave a hum, his voice deep and low. "It was okay. His voice sounded quite nice and had a hint of familiarity. I shook my head internally. Impossible. This voice was much colder and deeper than my sweet little brother at home. That kid could say goodnight in 18 different ways, soft and pliable. After the meal, Vivian busily directed people to clean the pool, saying she wanted to take the first photo set of the year there, and told me to wait a bit. Auntie Wu was afraid I would be bored and suggested I take a walk in the garden. She said the lights were on and it was very beautiful. I followed her advice and strolled into the garden. The night atmosphere was quite pleasant. Finding a long bench, the first thing I did was pull out my phone. As expected, my puppy had sent a series of messages. Sis, have you finished eating? Do you miss me? Image of a dog rubbing. I am very sad, talk to me. My heart softened like water, and I hurriedly replied. Just finished, staying at a best friend's house tonight. Of course I miss you. He replied immediately. Oh, I miss you super much too. Miss you so much I cannot sleep. Then came another transfer of 4 digits with a note for me to buy late-night snacks. I bit my lip and smiled. Typing while muttering who eats that much late at night, but inside I was bubbling with sweetness. Immersed in this sickly sweet atmosphere, my cheeks heated up slightly. I stood up, walking slowly along the small path in the garden while quickly typing to share the interesting events of the evening. Of course, I omitted the part about that super cool cousin. Just as I rounded a dense patch of azaleas, a tall black shadow suddenly appeared from behind the rockery. I let out a panicked soft cry, slipped and my high heel twisted sharply. I lost my balance and pitched forward. The imagined scene of face planting into the ground did not happen. I fell into an embrace that carried the faint scent of cedarwood and the cold air of the night. Panicked, I wanted to stand up, my hands unconsciously grabbing onto something. What I touched were solid abdominal muscles, tisk. An annoyed sound rang out above my head. I was both embarrassed and frantic, hurriedly letting go, but accidentally bumped into his phone. It fell to the ground with a thud. I stood firm and apologized repeatedly. I am sorry, I did not know there was anyone here, are you alright? Under the street lamp, the sharp face and blinding white hair of the other person became clear. It was Vivian's cousin, Dylan Wu. His brows were furrowed tight, his face full of disgust and annoyance at being disturbed. He quickly took a step back, widening the distance as if I were some source of infection. His ice-cold gaze swept over me, his voice full of sarcasm and wariness. Mom, please watch the road when you walk. I froze, Mom, before I could even react. His next sentence poured over my head like a bucket of cold water. Also, please have some self-respect, do not touch people casually. I have a girlfriend. My head buzzed, blood rushing to the top. Casual touching. Self-respect, he has a girlfriend. Absurdity and anger exploded in my chest, but the shred of reason left made me swallow this grievance. It was true that I did not watch the road and crashed into him, so I was in the wrong first. I tried to suppress my anger, keeping my voice as calm as possible. I am truly sorry. I did not mean to. Your phone. I bent down to pick up the phone lying in the grass. The screen was face down but still lit, displaying the chat interface. My pupils suddenly contracted, that familiar cute kitten avatar along with the familiar chat history and contact name. Baby sis. My finger froze in mid-air. Time seemed to freeze at this moment. I clutched that cold phone tightly, slowly raising my head to look at the boy in front of me who was frowning. His lip piercing reflected a cold light under the street lamp. Looking incredibly arrogant, the sweet online brother who acted spoiled, transferred money, sent voice messages, clung to me, and set a date to meet tomorrow. Was it him? My eyes went dark, the sky collapsed. I lay sprawled beside the pool, my mind a mess, but on my face, I still had to pretend nothing was wrong. Vivian swam over and poked my waist lightly. Hey, what is wrong with you? You look distracted tonight. Nothing, probably just a bit tired. I forced myself to remain calm. I absolutely could not let her know. My sweet online boyfriend was her cousin. If this got out, I would die of social embarrassment immediately. As I picked up my phone by the pool and unlocked it, the message notification sound exploded. Oh my god, more than 99 unread messages, all from the little puppy. I opened them to look. The latest messages read, Sis, can you answer me please? Why sis, I was wrong, I was truly wrong, just text me one sentence, just one sentence. Scrolling up, there was a pile of self-reflection. Sis, tonight an older woman crashed into my arms. I did not intend to have physical contact with others. You have to believe me, that old woman was so annoying. My precious body and veiny muscles can only be for you. Sis, why won't you answer my messages? Do you hate me because I am dirty now? Sis, I was wrong. In the future I absolutely will not let anyone touch me again. I swear. Sis, please do not leave me. I looked at that string of messages, my emotions mixed like a spilled palate, angry, speechless, yet a little soft-hearted. Online it was sis this, sis that, so sweet. Offline it was mom have self-respect, very good, excellent. You too, faced little brat. Today this lady will teach you the dangers of society. A thought that was both playful and vengeful suddenly popped up. I took a deep breath, turning to look at Vivian who was adjusting the camera to take pool photos for me. Viv, did you just say you have a super sexy, super figure, flattering swimsuit? Vivian's eyes lit up. Yes, yes I do, wait let me get it for you. In less than a moment, she brought over a tiny piece of fabric, opening it to show off like a treasure. I took a sharp intake of cold air. It was a red bikini with pitifully little fabric, an extremely daring design held together by only a few thin strings. Is this a bit too much? I hesitated slightly. Too much my foot. With your figure, not wearing this would be a waste of God's gift. Half pushing, half forcing, she dragged me into the changing room to put on that red swimsuit. The image of myself in the mirror made my face hot. It was truly too sexy. But thinking of that foul-mouthed white-haired brat, I gritted my teeth and walked out. Seeing me, Vivian let out a loud whistle, her eyes shining. Oh my God friend, I did not expect you to have such goods. This chest, this waist, these legs. Usually you cover up so tight. What a waist, let me touch. She rushed over and even groped my chest. She exclaimed, the feeling is great. Boo-hoo, that stinky brat tomorrow is so lucky. I forced a laugh twice and did not reply. If you knew who that stinky brat was, you probably would not say that. Under Vivian's super photography skills, a set of hot and sexy pool photos was officially born. Water droplets rolling on skin, sliding into crevices that sparked imagination, white skin glowing under the lights. Every photo was full of charm. I picked the sexiest one and cropped out the head. Carrying a bit of pleasure from revenge, I opened the chat box with the little puppy and pressed send. I did not know what expression that cool kid from earlier would have when he saw this picture. I hugged the phone, my heart beating a bit fast, feeling a mischievous anticipation as my prank was about to succeed. However, minutes passed and it only showed the line, opponent is typing. But no message came through. Just as I found it strange, Vivian's phone rang. She casually turned on the speakerphone. Hello mom, what is it? We are taking photos. On the other end, Auntie Wu's voice was panicked, almost crying. Come down quickly, something big happened. Vivian was startled. What happened mom? Speak slowly. Your cousin. Suddenly his nose started bleeding, gushing out uncontrollably. The tissues are soaked red. It scared me to death, come down and see. Vivian and I looked at each other, seeing astonishment in each other's eyes. We hurriedly threw on bathrobes and rushed downstairs. Downstairs was chaotic like a mixed hot pot. Auntie ran around Dylan with a box of tissues. Uncle held an ice pack to the back of his neck. The floor was littered with blood-stained tissues, looking quite terrifying. As for that cool guy, he leaned his head back on the sofa. 2 clumps of tissue stuffed in his nose, already mostly red. His brows were knit tight, his face full of despair. Dylan's voice was hoarse and thick. I am fine, do not worry about me. Auntie was on the verge of tears. How can you be fine? So much blood, oh my God, and why is your face so hot? Do you have a fever? Mr. Wu, start the car, let's take him to the hospital. No hospital, Dylan reacted strongly, jumping up, but the movement made the nosebleed seem to surge again. He quickly tilted his head back, his voice even more stifled. I am fine. It is just internal heat, drinking cooling water will be fine. Vivian suddenly had a realization. Could it be that mom gave him too much nutritious food lately? Children have vigorous blood flow. She narrowed her eyes suspiciously. Dylan, did you just watch something naughty? Dylan looked as if his weak point had been hit. Nonsense. It is not something naughty, it is. His face turned bright red, choking on his words. He just let out a huff. The truth was clear. It was my bikini photo that caused this disaster. The corner of my eye twitched, my mood complex, feeling both guilty and amused. Unbelievable, just one swimsuit photo almost turned someone into a blood-spraying warrior. Is this reasonable? After nearly half an hour of chaos, the nosebleed finally stopped. Worried, Auntie forced him to drink a huge cup of cooling herbal tea before letting him go up to his room to rest. This chaotic drama finally closed. Vivian sighed in relief, pulling me upstairs. Let's go, it is fine now, rest a bit early. Back in the second-floor living room, I stepped out onto the balcony and opened my phone. A series of messages popped up again. No need to guess who sent them. Sis, I did not mean to ignore your message. Something unexpected happened just now, I had to handle it. Forgive me. Boo-hoo. Sis, you are so pretty. I am so happy, image of rolling around. Then came a long string of 4 money transfers. Sis, taking photos is hard work. Buy yourself beautiful clothes to wear. Image of a puppy wagging its tail. I sat on the lounge chair on the balcony, the night breeze blowing gently but unable to blow away the chaos in my heart. After thinking for a long time, I decided to be decisive like swinging a sword. Let's break up, I suddenly feel we are not compatible. After pressing send, I felt guilty and immediately blocked him. Sigh, I really am like a scum woman. Online dating was beautiful, but reality was too scary. He was my best friend's cousin. And with this ridiculous contrast between online and offline, this relationship seemed unreliable no matter how I thought about it. The world became quiet, but my heart felt empty. Suddenly, a thud came from the room next door, as if something fell to the floor. Followed by the sound of suppressed, intermittent sobbing drifting over vaguely. My face changed. It was Dylan's voice. The balconies were connected, and he was in the next room. The crying got louder, turning into aggrieved sobbing that could no longer be hidden. Why, you say break up and just break up. It was fine this afternoon, we even promised to meet tomorrow. Boo-hoo, my love is dead, sis, you are so cruel. He cried like a lost child, babbling incoherently, his voice full of sadness and confusion about why he was abandoned. The crying crept into my ears, knocking on my conscience. Truly too pitiful. Finally, I could not hold back and walked over gently. The balcony door next door was open. I carefully poked my head out, only to see Dylan with his back to me, sitting on the floor. Head buried between his knees, shoulders shaking. I hesitated to speak up. He startled as if frightened, whipping around. Under the light, his eyes were red. Tear streaks still wet on his face, his silver hair looking gloomy. He looked both miserable and pitiful, completely lacking the cool aura from the day. Why did you come over here? He frowned, wiping his face, trying to appear calm, but his heavy nasal voice betrayed him. I heard a noise, so I came to check. I was a bit awkward. Are you okay? Not okay. His voice was stiff, as if sulking, but he could not help choking back a sob. It is just heartbreak, you do not need to care. I sighed, trying to comfort him. Maybe your girlfriend has her own difficulties. Or maybe she is actually a bad person, not worthy of you. I did not even know what I was saying. Dylan glared at me with red eyes. Like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. Do not speak ill of her. She is the best person in the world. She is not a bad person. She is gentle, adorable. He suddenly stopped, face flushing, and shouted. Anyway, she is the best, you know nothing. You are a poisonous snake, get out. I was dazed by his scolding, especially the phrase poisonous snake. Immediately, I no longer felt guilty. Anger rose up, and I blurted out. I am poisonous. If I were poisonous, I would not have broken up, I would have treated you like a dog to play with. As soon as the words came out, the room fell into a deathly silence. Dylan looked at me blankly, as if he still did not understand what that meant. I snapped back to reality, wishing I could bite off my tongue. Taking advantage of his confusion, I turned to run back to my room, but because I turned too fast, the bathrobe belt, which was tied loosely, caught on the balcony door handle. Swish. The robe immediately fell to the ground without warning, piling up at my feet, revealing the hot red bikini inside that was extremely familiar. Time seemed to stop. I stood rooted to the spot, my mind completely blank. Dylan's gaze slowly fell from my face, stopping on my body, on that swimsuit. His eyes went wide, his mouth slightly open, enough to fit an egg. The expression on his face went from surprise to confusion, to disbelief, to sudden realization, and finally to extreme horror and absurdity. He tremblingly pointed a finger at me, his voice sounding like it was strangled in his throat. It is you. Identity revealed. Social death. Finished, no saving this. I took advantage of the moment he was still glitching to grab the robe and swoosh back into my room. I slammed the balcony door shut, my hands trembling as I locked it. My back pressed tight against the cold door, I could clearly hear my own heart beating frantically. Thump thump thump, like it wanted to jump out of my throat. The balcony on the other side was silent as a grave. A long time later, a very weak whisper rang out, full of doubt about life. Damn it. That night I had insomnia. The next morning, with two giant dark circles under my eyes, I sluggishly walked down for breakfast. In the dining room, Uncle, Auntie, and Vivian were already seated. What made my hair stand on end was that Dylan was also there. Didn't Vivian say he usually slept until noon? Dylan bowed his head, mechanically stirring the porridge in his bowl. His usually sparkling silver hair was as limp as withered grass today. Hearing me come downstairs, he looked up. His eyes were indeed red and swollen like a bunny's. Seeing me, his gaze became extremely complex, full of shame, grievance, and a hint of unrecognizable confusion. He hurriedly lowered his head, but the tips of his ears quietly turned red. I pretended to be calm and sat down to greet Uncle and Auntie, but I could still feel Dylan's gaze. Whenever people weren't paying attention, he would sneak a lightning, fast glance at me, and then immediately turn away. Vivian looked at me, then at her cousin's strange reaction, and suddenly laughed. What is wrong with you two today? One has dark circles down to the chin, the other has eyes swollen like walnuts. If I did not know better, I would think you two were heartbroken together last night. I almost spat milk onto the table. Dylan went stiff, the murderous aura around him increasing a few notches. Vivian ignored the strange atmosphere and continued to ask me. Oh right, are you not meeting that online lover today? When are you going? I immediately felt my scalp go numb. Dylan's gaze felt like needles pricking me. Not meeting anymore, I replied reluctantly, my voice getting smaller. I got dumped last night, clang. The spoon in Dylan's hand hit the side of the bowl hard. He suddenly looked up and stared straight at me, his eyes full of disbelief and accusation. It was as if he was saying, clearly you dumped me, yet you say you were dumped. His eyes grew even redder, just like a small puppy who had suffered a huge injustice but had no one to complain to. Forced to swallow it miserably, I guiltily avoided his gaze, sitting uncomfortably. Vivian completely failed to notice the undercurrent between Dylan and me, and she heroically put her arm around my shoulders. It is okay, that scumbag is not worth it, I will take you to relax later. As soon as her words fell, Dylan suddenly opened his mouth, his voice cold. I am going too. We were all stunned. He turned his head away, not looking at me, his voice hard but determined. I said, I must go too. The driver was a gentle middle-aged man who simply smiled and nodded upon seeing the three of us. Dylan was almost the first to pull open the back door and dive in. Then leaned back against the seat with an expression that clearly said I am sitting here now. Vivian put her hands on her hips and glared. Dylan, do you have any manners? Go sit in the front. I am not feeling well. He turned his head to look out the window, sitting in the back with a gloomy voice. Vivian was so angry she wanted to drag him out, but seeing his truly spiritless appearance, she finally compromised. Fine fine, young master, you are number one. She looked at me apologetically. Mia, I cannot sit with you then. I shook my head to say it was fine. Vivian got into the passenger seat. I opened the car door, looking at the silver-haired teenager who was clearly sulking in the back seat, and felt truly awkward. I gritted my teeth and sat down, deliberately pressing myself against the door on the other side to widen the distance between us. Dylan inadvertently glanced at the empty space between us. His jawline seemed to tighten for a moment, and then the air pressure around his entire body clearly dropped. He turned his head to look out the window even more stubbornly, leaving me only the sight of the back of his cold neck. The scenery outside the car window began to drift past. Vivian played some soft music, a gentle melody flowing through the car, but it could not dissolve the silence and awkwardness between Dylan and me. I tilted my head to watch the streets flashing by outside, and drowsiness began to creep in. My eyelids grew heavy. In a daze, I felt the back of my hand warm up. A large, warm hand, carefully carrying a bit of tentative testing, gently hooked my finger. I startled awake completely, looking down to see it was Dylan's hand. I reflexively intended to pull my hand back, but he immediately tightened his grip. His fingertips trembled slightly, but he stubbornly wrapped around my hand, not letting me escape. He seemed very nervous, his warm palm even slightly damp. I turned my head in surprise to look at him. His gaze fell straight onto our intertwined hands. That look was exactly like an abandoned puppy that had difficultly found its owner again, but was afraid of being pushed away once more. It was stubborn, sad, and carried a bit of desperate courage. My heart felt as if someone had squeezed it, turning sour and soft. My struggle unconsciously weakened as if guided by some unseen force. I gently scratched his palm once. He immediately went stiff all over, as if hit by a mild electric current. The next second, his face flushed red, clearly visible, and his neck was dyed pink too. As if receiving permission, he carefully moved closer to me bit by bit. The car seat made a soft friction sound. The faint, fresh scent from his body gradually enveloped me. He gently lowered his head close to my ear, his warm breath brushing past my earlobe, his voice both light and soft, carrying clear ingratiating and aggrieved tones. He lowered his voice and called out once. Sis. It was exactly like the voice in the chat messages online, soft and obedient to the extreme. But at this moment, with that handsome face within inches, the damage was multiplied exponentially. My useless heart skipped a beat, and my ears began to heat up. I tried to appear calm, turning my head away and pretending to look at the scenery passing by the window, ignoring him. However, he would not let it go. Seeing that I did not clearly refuse, he took a mile after being given an inch and leaned in even closer. Sis. His voice became softer and softer, like melting malt candy. sweet and sticky and persistent. It was annoying to death. Finally, I could not take it anymore and turned back to glare at him, signaling him to behave. But the moment he saw me looking at him, his eyes immediately lit up. Not only did he not retreat, but he became even bolder. His nimble fingers slipped between mine, determinedly interlocking our 10 fingers tightly. I blinked, pursed my lips and mouthed silently. Not sis, it is mom. Dylan's eyes started to turn red again. He bit his lower lip. His voice choked. Sis, I was wrong, I misspoke. You can hit or scold me however you want, I will accept any punishment, just do not break up with me. He looked truly pitiful. I reflexively lowered my voice, gently scolding. Crybaby brat, I did not say I forgave him, but I did not pull my hand back either. Dylan's eyes lit up as if seeing hope, and he opened his mouth to say something. Dylan, front seat. Vivian finally noticed the abnormality in the back seat and turned around quickly. She frowned, looking at Dylan who was almost pasted onto me. Her voice was full of dissatisfaction. The car is so spacious, why are you crowding Mia? Do you not know you are huge? Sit properly. Dylan stiffened, like a child caught doing something bad, extremely unwilling to shift back to his original spot. But his eyes remained glued to me, lingering and aggrieved. As if he could not bear to look away for even a second. Being stared at by him made my face hot, so I had to pretend to close my eyes and sleep. The car finally stopped in front of a quiet bar with very stylish decoration. This was what Vivian called stress relief. Pushing the revolving door to enter, the sound of soothing jazz and the faint smell of alcohol washed over us. In a corner sofa, 5 people were already seated, 3 men and 2 women, smiling brightly and waving at us. I paused for a moment, turning to look at Vivian. She leaned close to my ear and whispered excitedly. How is it? Look and see if any of those 3 guys match your taste. They are all my friends, their personalities are quite decent. Trust me, the best cure for heartbreak is someone new. I immediately felt something was wrong. Before I could even react, I felt a gaze from behind almost piercing through my back. No need to turn around to know it was Dylan. His face immediately darkened, black enough to drip ink. Vivian pulled me over for introductions. The 3 guys were named Harry Yang, Charlie Zhu, and Luke Liu. The 2 girls were Jenny Shen and Fiona Fang. They were quite friendly. During the greetings, Harry was the first to smile and extend his hand. Mia, right? I have heard Vivian mention you a lot, very nice to meet you. I was just about to shake hands when a hand with distinct knuckles reached out from behind me faster, squeezing Harry's hand tight. Dylan. His voice abruptly spat out the name. Harry laughed awkwardly, responding with a confused greeting. Hello. Dylan continued to use the same greeting method with the other 2 guys. The atmosphere immediately became extremely awkward. The 3 guys looked at each other in discomfort. Vivian was so angry her eyes rolled back, mouthing a silent curse. Are you crazy? Dylan lifted his eyelids, indifferent. What is wrong? I just like making friends. Is that not allowed? Vivian thought, look in the mirror, your face is black as ink. Is there any part of you that wants to make friends? When we sat down, Vivian pulled me to sit on her left. Dylan did not hesitate at all, sitting right next to my right side, completely blocking the space between me and the others. Immediately, he got glared at by Vivian several times. To stir up the atmosphere, everyone suggested playing truth or dare. This was indeed a game to close the distance quickly. The first 2 rounds were quite light. The person pointed at either spoke a few insignificant truths or did some funny challenges. By the 3rd round, the bottleneck turned slowly a few times, not deviating at all, pointing straight at Dylan. Choose truth, he did not hesitate. Fiona Fang seemed very interested in him, asking shyly in a small voice. Dylan, what kind of girl do you like? Everyone looked at him curiously. I quietly clenched my hands. Dylan lowered his eyes, appearing to speak casually. I like someone 5 years older than me, long curly hair, white skin, peach blossom eyes, very beautiful. Oh. So little brother likes the older sister type. Such a clear description, surely there is someone in your heart, right? Jenny Chen whispered suspiciously. Why do I feel this description resembles Maya a lot? But her voice was too small, drowned out by the cheering, so no one heard. Disappointment was clearly visible on Fiona's face. I raised my wine glass and took a sip, hiding my panicked eyes. We played a few more rounds, and the atmosphere became more and more lively. This time, the glass bottle seemed guided by fate, spinning for a while before stopping right in front of me. Maya, it is your turn. Vivian was immediately excited. She urged me. Playing truth is boring, you must choose dare for it to be fun. I had no way out, so I drew a dare card. As soon as I opened it, my pupils immediately shook. Kiss the person sitting to your right for 1 minute. The person sitting to my right was Dylan. Damn, I reflexively looked at him. Clearly, Dylan also saw the content of the card. His hand holding the wine glass froze in mid-air, and his ears turned visibly red. Vivian was even more shocked than I was. She jumped up. No, this round does not count, draw again. She realized she had dug a hole and was about to bury both her best friend and her cousin in it. Harry also hurriedly smoothed things over. That is right, this is really a bit too much. Dylan is still young, games should have limits. However, Dylan suddenly spoke up. Why does it not count? If we play, we must follow the rules. The room instantly fell silent as a grave. Everyone's eyes focused on me and Dylan. The arrow was on the bow string. I took a deep breath as if making a huge decision, and turned to look straight at Dylan. He swallowed, his Adam's apple sliding up and down, his eyes shining brightly, full of tension, anticipation, and unconcealed excitement. He waited obediently, and people around began to cheer and count down. My lips lightly touched his. His lips were soft, full, very kissable. But in the next second, I was touched by a cold, hard object. It was his lip ring. I unconsciously frowned slightly. It was just a small expression, but it was caught by Dylan, who was watching intently. He did not hesitate to take off that small ring and casually threw it aside. The piece of jewelry he used to like so much, yet just because it made me slightly uncomfortable. He immediately discarded it with dislike. His warm hands cupped my face, carrying a tenderness and impatience that could not be resisted. He lowered his head to kiss me again, as if afraid of wasting a single second. That 1 minute felt as long as a lifetime, yet passed in the blink of an eye. It ended. I did not dare to look at anyone. Dylan's ears were red to the point of transparency. His lips wet and shiny, but his eyes still followed me with a sparkle, filled with satisfaction and joy that he did not hide. Vivian looked at the two of us, her eyes full of shock and thick suspicion. She opened her mouth as if to say something, but finally just rubbed her forehead, muttering, I probably thought too much, Dylan is not my type anyway. The party ended. Vivian was tipsy and kept muttering. It is all because of that stinky brat Dylan that you could not find someone new. Unexpectedly, the main character of her complaint was disdainfully carrying her on his back. Hearing that, he almost threw her onto the ground. I glared at Dylan once, and he obediently carried her properly. After putting Vivian in the car, I still did not feel reassured. Fearing she would be uncomfortable on the way, so I also got in the car to go to the Wu family home. After taking Vivian to her room and settling her down, I was also dizzy from alcohol and fatigue. Auntie Wu thoughtfully prepared hangover soup. Mia, it is so late and you drank alcohol. Do not go back, stay here for the night. I looked out the window at the thick night and nodded slightly. After washing up and lying on the soft bed, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Everything from tonight played over and over in my head like a movie, especially that hot kiss. Right at that moment, rustling sounds came from the balcony. Not long after, someone knocked lightly on the balcony door. It was Dylan. I did not move, pretending to be asleep. Outside the door was silent for a while, then a voice pressed very low, full of grievance and ingratiation, rang out. Sis, I know you are not asleep, can you open the door for me? I did not answer. It seemed he leaned his forehead against the door, his voice even more pitiful, sniffing his nose. It is very cold outside, the wind is strong. Sis, please, open the door for me. Just for a moment, I just want to look at you. He begged carefully, knocking continuously on the defense fence in my heart. Thinking of him standing in the night wind in thin pajamas, I finally lost. I threw off the blanket and walked to the balcony door, hesitated a bit, then unlocked it. The door just opened a crack when he immediately squeezed in. The next second, I was fully embraced in arms that carried a chill. Sis, he buried his face deep in the hollow of my neck, breathing greedily, his arms holding tight as if he wanted to melt me into his flesh and blood. Before I could say anything, I suddenly felt my body go light. He lifted me up. Dylan, you. I cried out softly, instinctively hugging his neck. He did not answer, holding me like an agile young leopard guarding his food. Just a few familiar steps through the corridor. Sneaking into his room, he gently placed me on the bed and immediately turned around, locking the door with a click. Having done all that, he seemed to be relieved of a burden. Afraid I would run away. Only a dim warm night light was on in the room, outlining his tense face and brilliant silver hair. He walked towards me step by step, and immediately after, with a thud, he knelt straight down in front of me. Before I could react, he reached out and hugged my legs tightly. Nearly 1.90 meters tall, even kneeling he was full of pressure, but he carefully pressed his cheek against my leg. Rubbing against it, his voice sounded aggrieved. Sis, stop torturing me like this, okay? I cannot take it anymore. If you ignore me anymore, I am going to go crazy. He looked up, his beautiful eyes overflowing with grievance as if it were about to spill out. Besides, you kissed me tonight, you were the one who took the initiative to kiss me. You cannot just kiss and then pretend nothing happened. Sis, give me a title, will you? Do not make me anxious anymore, I beg you. This kid carried someone to his room in the middle of the night, and now acted so pitiful and helpless. Exactly like a big puppy wagging its tail to curry favor. The complicated emotions in me suddenly vanished, and I even let out a laugh. Dylan froze, looking at me reverently as if waiting for a final verdict. I extended my bare toes, gently touching his solid chest. He immediately went limp as if deboned, falling backward following my force. He lay on the carpet, a soft groan escaping his throat like a whimper, looking exactly like a fish on a chopping board waiting for me to process. My toes glided over the firmabs under his pajamas, feeling slight tremors. He gently held my foot, his eyes becoming dreamy and longing, his mouth ceaselessly calling. Sis, sis. That appearance was like a small puppy being gently stepped on the belly by its owner. Both excited and afraid to act rashly, only able to whine to show desire and submission. Pitiful yet seductive. A strange heat suddenly flared up from my lower abdomen. Unable to control it, I slid off the edge of the bed, sitting directly on his waist. His body stiffened, his breathing immediately becoming heavy. I lowered my head, my fingers lightly touching his Adam's apple which was moving violently. I lowered my voice, carrying a hint of warning. A little quieter. Sunlight pierced through the gap in the curtains, mischievously falling on my eyelids. I woke up dazed, the first sensation being a heavy weight on my chest. Looking down, a soft silver head was resting on my chest very naturally. He was sleeping very soundly, his breathing even and warm, and his arm was hugging my waist dominantly. I frowned slightly, both annoyed and amused. Is this kid not weaned yet? Seeming to sense movement, Dylan unconsciously rubbed against me, even letting out a satisfied sigh. I looked at his characteristic silver hair, glowing under the morning light, and suddenly spoke. Dylan, he answered drowsily. He lifted his head, his eyes still sleepy and obedient after satisfaction. I reached out to ruffle his soft hair. Go dye your hair black in 2 days. Although this white hair combined with your face makes you look like a handsome man walking out of a comic book. I follow a mature style. If I go with you, the rate of heads turning will definitely explode. I do not want to be gossiped about behind my back. Dylan responded obediently. Okay, I listen to you for everything. After speaking, he buried his head back into the hollow of my neck with satisfaction. In the dining room, everyone gathered for breakfast. Vivian held her forehead. Clearly the hangover from last night had not fully dissipated. She looked at me and Dylan, remembering last night's events, and glared at him in annoyance. It is all your fault. Last night I took Mia to find someone new, but in the end, you ruined it all. Whatever, today I will find someone else to organize it again. Dylan was slowly peeling an egg for me. Hearing this, he let out a cold snort, his face clearly showing arrogant pride. He stopped his hands, then clamped my hand under the table. Immediately after, he directly grabbed my hand, interlacing our 10 fingers, and raised it up to place it on the dining table. It instantly attracted everyone's gaze, and the entire table fell into a deathly silence. Vivian's eyes went wide, her mouth opening into an O shape, her gaze constantly sweeping between our hands and Dylan's smug face. As if her CPU had fried, Dylan lifted his chin high, like a lion cub finally declaring sovereignty, his voice clear and resonant. Cousin, stop meddling in other people's business. What introductions? I am Maya's online boyfriend. We are doing very well, furthermore, we will get married in the future, and we are determined to give you plenty of nieces and nephews. Vivian was stunned for 5 seconds before exploding. What, you two, what the hell, Dylan and Mia, since when? Did you two really bang already? What about me? Damn it. My virginity is practically growing cobwebs. I need to find a man to pop my cherry soon. Boo hoo hoo. However, aside from Vivian's screaming, the other 2 elders, Uncle and Auntie Wu, were extremely calm. Uncle just lifted his eyes from the newspaper, gave an indifferent hum, and continued reading. Auntie Wu elegantly lifted her teacup, gently blew on it and took a sip, her face showing a smile full of understanding. Seeing her parents so calm, Vivian was completely confused. Wait, what is wrong with you parents? Why are you not surprised? Did you two know beforehand? Auntie put down the teacup, looking at her daughter with gentle eyes, smiling affectionately. Silly girl. I know you are a bit slow in this department. Your father and I guessed almost everything yesterday at breakfast, when we saw little Dylan looking at Mia so sorrowfully like he had been abandoned. Vivian was ambushed for the second time, turning to look at me full of resentment. A second later she rushed over angrily. Mia Wang, you truly value sex over friends. You hid it from me so miserably. I was the only one kept in the dark like a fool. See if I do not teach you a lesson." I laughed and dodged, but Dylan reacted even faster, immediately hugging me tightly in his arms. "Aim whatever you have at me, do not touch her." He used his back to take the full brunt of Vivian's anger. I poked my head out from Dylan's arms, looking at Vivian who was jumping in anger, unable to suppress a smile on my radiant face, constantly begging for mercy. "I am sorry, Viv. It is my fault, I won't dare do it again." The morning sun covered the dining room, the bird song outside the window was clear, mixing with the sounds of Vivian screaming and scolding, and the hearty laughter of uncle and auntie, weaving the liveliest and happiest harmony for this morning.